Well, thank you, Emily, for coming in to meet me. I'm really excited to help you find your new home. And I did talk to the lender, and he said you were qualified for up to $500,000.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Awesome. So that fits in with your monthly budget, right? So are you comfortable going up to the price?
Yes, so that we figured out what my monthly payment would be at that amount, and so that or less would be great. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, so what we can expect to do today over the next few minutes is we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about everything you want in a house, what you absolutely must have, and what your deal breakers are. Okay. And then we're also going to talk about current market conditions and what homes we should be looking at, what price range. And then we're going to talk about how the home buying process works. How we can best work together to make this a win-win relationship to help you get your home. And then I'm going to explain how our agency and compensation works, and then we'll sign the buyer's representation agreement if we decide to work together.
Sounds good.
All right. So first of all, let's start with the fun stuff. I want to find out what exactly it is that you want in a home.
Okay.
So let's start with how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms?
Minimum of 3 bedrooms,
Okay.
minimum of 2 bathrooms.
Okay. Any special features?
I like a large kitchen.
Okay. Now, by large, define your definition of large.
I just don't want one of those little tiny corner kitchens. I'd like an island and room to move around. I like to bake.
Okay. All right. And any particular square footage?
No, as long as it's got the 3 separate bedrooms, I need those for 3 separate services. So it's a room count.
Okay, so room oversized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what type of yard are you looking for?
I have a small dog, so the yard doesn't have to be really big, but it definitely has to have an outdoor space. I can't have a balcony or something like that.
Okay. Okay. So, any other special features? Pool, fireplace,
No pool.
countertops?
I don't want to take care of a pool.
I don't blame you.
Fireplace would be nice, but I don't have to have one.
Okay. And is there any deal breakers? Is there something if you see in a home you're like, no way?
I don't like busy streets.
Okay. Anything else?
Not that I can think of. I'm okay with stairs too, for
Okay.
Still young enough.
Okay, awesome. Built-in exercise.
Yes.
Okay. All right, if you think of anything else while we're talking, or even as we start looking at homes, you see something and you think, oh, I didn't think of that, be sure to let me know, okay, so that we can include that. So what we'll do is we'll set you up on a search in our MLS with some of your criteria, and this is going to be able to alert you and I as soon as something comes in the market that fits your criteria. Now, the main things that we're going to put in there are going to be price, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, no pool, those types of things. If we get too detailed in the description, if other agents didn't check certain boxes, then the perfect home might not come up for us to see. So if you do see something that you said, oh, I don't want that, please know that it's not because I sent it to you hoping you'd like it anyway, okay? Okay. So one of the things that I did want to go over with you is our current market conditions. So in our current market, it's very common when a home is very nice and priced right to have multiple offers on it. Okay, and so that would mean if you find something that you really love, you need to act quickly and come in with a very strong offer. Okay, oftentimes over asking price. But if you find something that you really like, what I'll do is I'll call the list agent. I'll find out what's going on with it. Has there been activity? Do you have any offers? So we'll find all that out before we write an offer so that you can come in with the strongest offer that you're comfortable with. Okay? Now, that being said, because we do need room to groove, so to speak, we're not going to want to look at homes all the way up to $500,000 because it's very common for homes to sell $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set your search, and I even think this might be a little high, but I'm going to set it at about $475,000, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Any questions about that?
No, that bums me out a little bit, but that's okay. All right.
Well, I understand, but we want to make sure if you find just the right house and that you get a counter offer to your offer, that it's still within your affordability range. So if we look all the way up to 500 and you don't want to go beyond that, or you can't go beyond that, then we're getting you excited about something that might not work out.
That
and we
makes
don't want to
sense.
do that.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So the next thing I want to do is I want to just go over a little bit about how this process will work once we get started, okay? So as I mentioned, I'm going to set you up on an MLS search. And so after we get everything finished today and get the paperwork signed, then we can look at what's available right now. And then we can, if there's anything that you like, we can set appointments to go in and see the homes, okay? Now keep in mind, if the first home you step in is like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, you don't have to see 10 or 20 homes if you fall in love with the first one.
Okay.
And that's kind of a misconception people have that, oh, this can't be true, I should look at more. But if you fall in love with it, what's the need, right? Now, also, if you don't, it's okay that we look at more homes. Most people don't need to look at more than 4 to 6 homes before they find something that works for them. And we kind of have a process of elimination to help you. So for instance, let's say we go see 3 homes tomorrow. And we go into the first one. You tell me what you love about it, what you hate about it, and then we'll go to the next one. And same thing. And then I'm going to ask you, did you like the first one better or the second one better? Because then we know if you say the second one, we're not even going to talk about the first one anymore.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Because it can get overwhelming looking at multiple homes, like which house had this, what had that. So that kind of helps us keep everything straight.
Okay.
Okay. And so the next thing we'll do once we find just the right home, as I mentioned earlier, I'll call the agent, I'll find out some particulars, then we'll write an offer. Once we write the offer and submit that with your pre-approval letter from your lender to the list agent, then we wait to see if they respond. And they can respond in one of 3 ways. They're either going to accept your offer, reject your offer, or counter your offer. In which case that they'll change whatever terms they didn't like in your offer, and then you have a choice to either accept or counter or reject. Okay? But as we get there, we'll go over in more detail. Okay. So one thing I do just want to set the stage for us working together. Please know that I am going to give you 100%. You are very important to me, and I am so excited to help you find your very first home. This is really exciting. So because I do have a family, I don't answer my phone after 7 o'clock in the evening. And please know, if you need to leave a message after that time, I will absolutely call you back the next day because your call is important to me. But I do set aside that time for my family. So is that agreeable?
That sounds just fine.
Okay, fantastic. So the last thing that we need to do is just sign the buyer's representation agreement so I can go to work for you.
Okay.
All right. So let me share how things work now, because you might have heard a little something about a lawsuit in the news.
Just a little something.
Okay, so let me share how this works. So first of all, the recent lawsuit argued that a buyer should pay the fees for themselves, that a seller should no longer do that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull up the buyer representation agreement and show you that on the form.
Okay.
So this is our buyer's representation agreement, and notice here, this is a change in practice related to seller broker's offer of compensation. So historically in California, many sellers brokers used a multiple listing service, or the MLS, to make a unilateral offer of compensation, or offer to compensate a buyer's broker who procured a buyer for the seller's property. In other words, we used to be able to look in the MLS and we knew how much the seller was going to pay our side.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but because of this lawsuit, they're no longer able to do that. So sellers are no longer able to offer a specific amount of compensation. Notice here, buyers and sellers must separately negotiate compensation with their respective brokers as specified above. So now we are required to have you, as the buyer, pay the compensation on your side. However, don't let that scare you, because notice here, buyer negotiates for seller to compensate buyer's broker, and buyer's agent negotiates an agreement directly with seller. So in other words, this becomes just another point of negotiation when we make an offer. Okay, so I'm going to go through the buyer representation agreement and I'll show you what my fees are. And by the way, as always has been in California and everywhere, all fees are negotiable. They're not fixed by law, and I do need to point that out because that was one of the main things of the settlement agreement. However, we've always done that on all of our forms, and you'll see how it's even more pronounced as we go through this, okay?
Okay.
So now, let's go over the actual agreement itself, okay? So this is you, and this is us. And so basically, we are representing you to purchase your home, and we're going to start that today. And we're going to end it in 3 months because we're not allowed to let this be more than 3 months at a time now. Don't worry, if for some reason we don't find your house, we can amend this and extend it. Although I'm confident we're going to get you in a house much quicker than that.
Okay.
Okay, and so notice I'm marking the exclusive box here. That means you're agreeing to work with me exclusively because I'm going to work very hard to find you just the right home. And so if I'm going to put in all that time, I need to know that you'll be working with me exclusively. Is that agreeable?
Sounds fair.
Okay. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to put in here the counties. So we're doing San Luis Obispo County, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only area we talked about that you're looking, right?
Right.
Okay. So we don't have to put in the cities because the county's going to encompass that. And so now here you'll notice I said they've added things to the agreement to make it even clearer. Again, our compensation is not fixed by law. It is negotiable. However, because I am a full service agent, my fee is 3%, okay? But as I mentioned before, I'm going to do my best to get the seller, for us to negotiate for the seller to pay that fee for you. So they may pay all of it, they may pay some of it, they may pay none of it, okay? So it will be up to you if you want me to look for properties where the seller has indicated that they will consider concessions. So whereas they're not allowed to tell us how much they'll pay anymore, there is now a box in the MLS that if it's checked concessions yes, that means they're willing to have us ask.
Okay.
Okay? So if you want me only to show you those properties, or if you want me to show you all properties, that will be up to you. Okay? And so if say the seller pays 2%, then you'd be responsible for the other 1%.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. Awesome. And then the continuation period I have on here 30 days. This just means that if our agreement does expire and any property that we have looked at together you decide to move forward with, I would still help you with that during this period of time.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we get to the bottom here and notice I'm going to fix this for you to sign electronically so we can get it signed today and we can get started. This is what I talked about, representing you exclusively, so we will be having you initial here for that. And again, just to reiterate, they have us put our compensation here again, which is 3%.
Okay.
All right, any questions?
I don't think so.
All right, well, let me get this fixed up to send to you so you can even sign it right here on your phone. Give me just a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll get your home search started.
Sounds good.
So thank you for signing that for me. You'll also have a copy of it in your email, and I'm going to recommend that you take a screenshot of page 5 and save it to your photos. That way, should you be driving around on the weekend and decide to stop in at an open house, something we haven't talked about yet, you can show the agent who's hosting the open house that I'm representing you. And of course, if you'd like me to accompany you, just let me know ahead of time so we can set that up. And then one final thing that I want to bring up is if you decide at any time that you want to consider new construction, please make sure and let me know so I can make an appointment for us to go together the first time, because builders are real picky about that and they want to make sure that the agent representing them is with them when they register. So I'll be happy to do that should you decide to do that.
Sounds good.
So you ready to start your home search?
Definitely.